Rachel, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about what I've been reading recently. I don't do monthly wrap-ups anymore, which by the way has been extremely helpful for me. Not only do I get to focus on just doing long format content like I prefer to do, but it also helps me towards the end of the month. If I have not finished a book and I'm still doing monthly wrap-ups, I get this urge to finish the book in the month so that I cannot say that it carried over to the next month, which makes my brain feel very icky. That's probably an OCD thing, which I do struggle with OCD. So that makes sense. I've never really thought about it that way, but yeah, that makes sense. It just makes me feel gross. So not having to do wrap-ups monthly has been helping me with that. Once in a while, I'm going to do recent reads videos. And that's what we're doing here today. So far this year, I've read 45 different things, which include novels, but also graphic novels. I've been reading a lot on audio, but ever since I figured out how to get my Kindle to read to me, that has come in so needed at a time when I am dealing with major constant migraines over and over. So that has been fucking phenomenal, if I do say so myself. I started off the year by reading some graphic novels. So a few that I read were Punderworld by, what is her name? Linda Sejic, which is a Hades and Persephone retelling in graphic novel format. The art is beautiful. I liked it, but I was kind of hoping for like more stakes. I know that everybody's like, if you like that, then you should read What Is That When? That's very blue and pink. I don't dig that art style. I know everybody loves it, but I am very particular about art styles and that's just not my thing. I'm glad that everybody loves it. That's awesome. I probably won't be reading it. But Punderworld, I loved the art and I thought it was great and I definitely want the next one. I just don't understand why it's not out yet. Like it just feels like a stab to my soul. A couple other things that were graphic novels that I read were two of Huda Fahmi's graphic novels, which are fucking hilarious. If you like nonfiction graphic novel but you just like to laugh, I cannot recommend highly enough Huda Fahmi's work. She is a Muslim woman who just talks about her life in graphic novels. So the first one is Huda FRU, that's the first one I read, and then the other one is That Can Be Arranged. Huda FRU is just about Huda's life growing up as a Muslim girl, and then That Can Be Arranged is about how she met her husband and how their marriage was arranged, and both of them are so cute and funny. I love the way she does art. I love the way that she does expression. It's so unique and fantastic, and she's so funny. She is the funniest person making graphic novels, I swear to you. Another one that I thought was really funny was Oddball by Sarah Anderson. You might recognize some of these. These are very popular, like to just meme across the internet, but that's Sarah Anderson's work and she is so funny. I did like Huda Fahmi's work better, but Oddball by Sarah Anderson was super funny and super cute. Another one I finished early in this year was Primal Animals by, sorry, I don't know authors' names, Julia Lynn Rubin, which, oh man, how do I even describe this? This was sort of like dark academia, but make it summer camp, and it got dark in certain places. But I was hoping that this is supposed to be about like a secret society at a summer camp and there's some murders going on, and also main character clearly has some things that she's trying to suppress, and when you find out you're like, oh, ew, gross. If you like dark stuff, you will like this. It's also sapphic. It ended rather abruptly, and I felt like the time that we spent with the secret society was so little in comparison to what I thought the synopsis sort of portrayed this story being, which was like heavy on the secret society. So it was a 3-star for me. I didn't love it. And it ended so abruptly. Like I said, I was like shocked how abruptly that ended. Another one I finished earlier this year was There There by Tommy Orange, which is, I don't even know how to explain what There There is about. It's a book by a Native author with very many intersecting stories of Native folks, and it all sort of ends at a powwow, and it ends also very abruptly and quite sad. So I heard there's gonna be a sequel, which I'm like, oh, that's not what I thought we were doing here, but it was good. I gave it 4 stars. It didn't make me sob like I was hoping. I keep wanting to find something that's going to emotionally wreck me like Sadie did a couple years ago. That didn't hit the mark for me. So it was very emotional. I loved some of the intersecting stories and like figuring out how they come together and who's like intermixed with who else life-wise. Wow, that sentence got away from me. It was very good, just very well written, very like it was a very fast-paced story, so you're like sitting there and you're like, wow, this is going, oh, and it's over. Oh, okay. Well, that was a ride. I liked it. I recommend reading it if you like fast-paced, devastating endings, but not so devastating that made me cry. So it's not bad. It's good. It's 4 stars. It's good. Another thing I read early this year that I read very quickly was Like a Love Song by Gabriela Martins, and this was, so it's about a Brazilian pop star, Brazilian American pop star, who has like one of the most like embarrassing and devastating breakups, meme-ified essentially, and she gets made fun of. So she does like a fake dating thing with a guy to sort of like up her image again, and they fall in love, and it's adorable. It was really cute. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. If you're looking for a YA sort of like rom-com, but also like figuring out who you are and, you know, getting in touch with your Brazilian roots, this is a great book. Another thing I read earlier this year was All My Rage by Saba Tahir. 5 stars. It's 5 stars. I love Saba Tahir. This is about 2 teens who were best friends, and then they had a falling apart, but then they're, you know, slowly working their way back to each other. And there's a third POV, which I'm not going to spoil who it is. It's hard to say. So basically, this is just like a coming of age story, but it is so incredibly intense and emotional. And it's also sort of a love story, and well, I don't know how to even talk about it. It's just a trigger warning for child abuse and alcoholism and emotional devastation. Oh, and death of a parent. Definitely death of a parent. Be careful reading this for those reasons. It was 5 stars. Saba Tahir has a way of writing that is so incredibly well-rounded, in that it is not only well written, but it is also written so in a way that gives the characters so much depth that you feel like they are real, and that you at the end of the story want to reach out and ask how they're doing because you're worried about them and their mental health. She just writes stories that really are going to stay with you, and I loved it so much. I also read the Communist Manifesto, which is obviously by Karl Marx and what is the other guy? I never remember the other guy's name. Karl Marx and that other guy who nobody ever remembers. It's very good. I need to reread it and probably annotate it. I just love how it starts, where it's like there's a specter haunting Europe. The specter of communism. It's just very cheeky. I loved it. And that's so funny because that is definitely still how now communism is talked about. I also read House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I have a full review for that. I also read Edgewood by Kristen Ciccarelli. I have a full review for that. House of Earth and Blood got 3 stars and Edgewood got 5 stars. For more thoughts on that, check out my reviews. Another thing I gave 5 stars, Angela Davis's autobiography, which I have, but I'm not gonna hold it up because it's in the other room and I'm not gonna go get it. I'm gonna reread this and annotate it. I read it on audio because first of all, I wanted to give Angela Davis more money, so I bought the audiobook. And second of all, this is the 3rd edition, and I want to get the other editions too. I want to annotate, and I just want to get the most I can out of Angela Davis's work, and support her. So I read the audio. I also love her voice, like her actual voice, and she narrates it. So I'm just going to reread the utter shit out of it. I'm going to get every ounce that I can out of Angela Davis and her teachings and her words. That whole thing just got away from me real fast. Anyway, this is just about her life, and if you don't know, Angela Davis was accused of aiding a murder, which she chronicles like everything, how that happened leading up to that, and how she was seeking justice for other people who were wrongly accused, and ended up wrongly accused herself. And her life is just so interesting, and she's so just beautiful and amazing, and everything that she says, I just hang on her every word. I idolize her a little bit. She is a goddess. She is a gift to humanity. She would be so utterly grossed out by hearing me say that, because she's very much about like the collective and not about the individual, but I just love her so much. Anyway, I'm gonna stop doing that now. I also read 3 works by Bell Hooks in the last few months. So Teaching to Transgress, The Will to Change, which is also called Men, Masculinity, and something. So her book on masculinity, and then also Feminism is for Everybody. So those 3 books, I gave all of them 5 stars. All of them are phenomenal in their own right. I do have a video talking about Men, Masculinity, The Will to Change, and then also we did a live show talking about Feminism is for Everybody. You can go check those out if you want more in-depth thoughts. But the thing I love about bell hooks in all three of her works is that she really takes basic concepts that you don't really think of as inherently feminist and teaches you how everything is feminist, and things like love is a feminist praxis. Teaching and education are feminist concepts, and masculinity is something that we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about how mothers are raising their sons and how they perpetuate this violence against boys that ends up leading to men being emotionally cut off, which then perpetuates more violence. She was just an amazing thinker and feminist and woman, and I am just so in awe of everything that she accomplished in her life and did for humanity, and truly a devastating loss that she's gone. So I've really been loving her work. This year has been just like the year of learning from bell hooks so far for me, so I'm gonna keep that up. I did read a couple of not great things. So obviously I really hated The Night and Its Moon by Piper CJ. I do a full review on this. And basically it's a Witcher fanfic that she did not put on AO3 and decided to pretend is her own original work, and it's not. It's a blatant ripoff of The Witcher. Despite what all the angry men in my comments are saying on that video, it's quite clearly a blatant ripoff of The Witcher. Die mad. And come to find out, she's getting traditionally published now by Bloom, so everything that is like on her Goodreads page for The Night and Its Moon is just gonna be like out the window because the book got a new Goodreads page because Bloom picked it up. So she gets to pretend that none of that ever happened. Because of her doubling her TikTok following, she now benefited and gets a traditionally published deal when people who created their own story and didn't rip off another author completely and also didn't attack a reviewer viciously, they don't get published, but Piper does. So I'm a little salty about that because I just feel like there are so many stories that will never make it to page, but blatant plagiarism does. I just think that's shitty. Anyway, I hated that book, but I am going to continue the series because people asked me to keep reviewing, so that's what I do here now. Make fun of fundies and read bad books. I'm not complaining. I really enjoy my audience. I'll keep doing whatever you guys would prefer me to continue reading so that, you know, I can keep doing this as a thing until I eventually have to, you know, go back to corporate America. I also read Unsettling Truths, The Ongoing Dehumanizing Legacy of the Doctrine of Discovery by Mark Charles and another guy. Here's the neat thing about this book. It has some really interesting stuff in it and some points that I definitely agree with. The problem is that I was so taken aback by how anti-abortion these authors are because they are Christians and they subscribe to certain ideas. And I was so devastated hearing that a lie that they put in this book about abortion, where they said that the Supreme Court decided that fetuses do not have human rights, which was not what Roe decided. That is categorically false. Roe said that the 14th Amendment allows for the right to privacy, which includes medical decisions like abortion. So it had nothing to do with whether or not a fetus has personhood rights, and to write that into a book was really disgusting. So I went and looked on the authors' Twitters, and both of them have said some other stuff that is anti-abortion, and it really colored how I thought about the book, so I decided not to rate it. It is by a Indigenous man, and I think the other author is Korean, and they talk about how the Constitution has been used to erase the humanity of certain people groups, as well as how there's this idea in Christianity that the United States was discovered when it wasn't discovered. How can you discover a land that is already inhabited by people? It also has a really great chapter on Abraham Lincoln and how shitty he was, and like, you know, the truth about how he treated Native Americans, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that it went into detail about stuff that I did not know, stuff that I knew a little bit about but needed to learn more about. I got a lot out of this book, but it also was so colored by that whole lie that they told about abortion that I was like, oh, that makes me super uncomfortable just because personal trauma. So do with that information what you will. I don't Like, I don't say like, don't read the book. Like, obviously, you know, read it, get what you will out of it, but just go in knowing that what they said about abortion is not true. And I guess the last one I'll talk about, I've read some other ones, but I'm just gonna end it here. The last one I'm gonna talk about is The Problem with the Other Side by Kwame Ivory. This was, I don't know what the author was trying to do here. On the one hand, he really captured like how teens interact with each other. And this is about a guy and a girl who start to date, and the girl's sister is a blatant racist and is running for student council president, and the guy's sister is disgusted by the racist sister and decides, I'm gonna run for student council president as well. And so it turns into a big fight, and both of them are their siblings' campaign managers. If this book was supposed to be like discussing racism in a way that teens could like consume, I feel like it did such a surface level job to the point where it is not going to do anything for anybody. On the other hand, I do think that teens will see themselves in this book because how it portrayed like teenagers interacting with each other, getting into relationships, sibling dynamics, I think that all was done really well, and I think that teens will see themselves in this. So for that, it is beneficial. The race stuff, other books have done it better in my opinion. And then the ending, it ends in a school shooting and then it just cuts off and jumps to 9 years later. It's very odd the way it ended, and I don't feel like it did what it set out to do, and I'm not even sure what it really wanted to be, this book. So kind of a miss for me. I do think that, again, it does have the benefit of teens will be able to see themselves reflected in it, especially if they are in an interracial relationship, which I was in high school, and I married that guy. So I appreciate that. And again, like the sibling stuff, the family stuff. So I appreciate it for representing teens as they are today. So at least that. I gave it 3 stars. It's fine. It should be in high school like libraries for that basic reason. I also read Blood in the Golden Palace, which is my first organized crime romance, BDSM romance erotica thing, and I did review that, so I'll leave that down below. Oh, there is one more. We All Fall Down by Rose Jabo. I don't know what that was. I have no idea what the fuck that book was. You know how Silkfire, everybody's like, what the fuck is that? This book is also that way. What this book is doing with gender is cool and appreciated. I can't tell you a single fucking thing that happened in this book. I know that there was a person, they went and they were the prophesied maiden, and everybody goes to this city and there's supposed to be a king, a maiden, and 2 other ones. And there was organized crime, and the leader of the organized crime was a German Shepherd because of a curse. And I don't know what happened. It was so weird. There was like somebody was murdering cops, and like this girl, this trans girl with tentacles was being blamed for it, and it wasn't her, and she ended up being part of a prophecy, and I don't know. I don't even know how to, it was the weirdest fucking thing I have ever read, and it just sort of felt like I was reading something that gave me a migraine. that was my experience. I don't know what it was trying to be. I don't get it. I think the author gets it, and the author might be the only person who understands what they wrote, because I certainly did not. If you're looking for a very weird book, this I recommend to you. That is all I can say. I don't even know how to describe what happened in this book. That's the best I can do, even though this is a channel where I'm supposed to do exactly that. That's it. That's the video. Okay. Anyway, that's sort of what I've been reading during the first few months of the year. Let me know if you've read any of these. And this is not a comprehensive list. I just don't feel like going through every single thing. Probably do these quarterly where I talk about some things that I didn't go over in video, but if you're looking for more in-depth thoughts, I mostly do long format reviews now. So that's it. More videos coming up soon where I do more in-depth reviews. I'll be talking about a Christian book on atheism written by a guy who apparently after he died, it was found out that he had, despite being a fundy doing Christian apologetics for decades, been committing sexual assault. So that was awful to find out. Other things, I am reviewing Silkfire, I am reviewing The Pawn and the Puppet, and a couple other things. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. If you want to support my channel, all the links are down below. Follow me on all the things, and I'll see you next time. Bye!